I'm the apple.
And I'm the cider.
And this is vinegar.
Now everybody's up to date and we're all going to warm up.
If you have ever walked the aisles of a health food store or bought a bottle of apple cider vinegar, you will probably recognize the name Bragg. The company has been around for over 100 years and has been boasting the rejuvenating benefits of their products for just as long. Every bottle of vinegar, until recently, sports both a photo of Paul and Patricia Bragg and lists their medical qualifications. Today, they do still have their pictures on it. As far as I can tell, they have mostly stopped listing the medical qualifications. You will understand why later. By the end of this video, you will understand. One might assume that a company which has literally been around longer than sliced bread, and which was founded by medical doctors, must be very reliable and trustworthy. I would like, if I may, to pose a question. Is it? The answer is no. By the end of this video, you will know that the answer is no. You may have noticed, this is a Chloe video.
I'm just here.
Because this is a subject that I feel very, very strongly about, and I've spent over a week and also the past 6 years researching this video because it makes me feel crazy and I need to share it with the world. Actually, HedgeFrog has just been a years-long scheme for this video. This was one of the first video ideas we wrote down. Let's start at the very beginning. Very good place to start. When you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. Do, Re, Mi.
What, I thought there was going to be a Bragg joke in there.
Happen to be Do, Re, Mi. Do, Re, Mi. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti. Paul Bragg, the founder of Bragg's apple cider vinegar, was born in 1881 in Fairfax County, Virginia, and was raised on his family's farm. When he was 16, he developed tuberculosis and was told he'd have 4 months to live. However, he was taken to a Swiss tuberculosis clinic run by Dr. Auguste Rollier, who used a treatment based on live food, sunshine, fasting, and exercise to cure Bragg. Paul was the oldest of 16 children, and he used the treatments that he learned from Dr. Rollier to cure his sister Louise, who had been sickly all her life, but was from then on able to live in glowing health. Bragg turned the treatments into a lifestyle and became such a picture of health that he was able to wrestle in the Olympics in both 1908 and 1912. He fought in every major battle in World War I. He played tennis with Teddy Roosevelt and taught boxing to Roosevelt's sons. He had multiple advanced science degrees, a PhD, and a medical degree. In 1912, he opened the first health food store in the United States, kickstarting what would become an empire of apple cider vinegar, books, and seminars on how to live his healthy lifestyle, with products sold around the world. As he got older, his daughter Patricia joined him in running the company and eventually took over completely when he died in 1976 in Hawaii at the age of 95 following a surfing accident. Wow! What a rich, interesting life. It's almost too interesting to be true.
Oh my god.
Because it is. Every fact he ever told about his life was a lie because he's a liar.
Oh my god.
In this essay, I will be going through the insane things that he lied about, and I will be revealing the actual true facts of his life. I am not the first person to notice or point out his weird lies, but I've not been able to find anybody having done it in video form, at least that has been published on YouTube. So I will be linking my sources in the description below.
Please don't sue us.
If you would like to read up on him yourself. Yes, I am simply reiterating and summarizing information that is already on the internet. I am not making any of this up. Please do not sue me for defamation. So before I get into the facts, I do think I should mention why I'm so fascinated by the Bragg family.
Okay.
Because otherwise this video makes no sense. And I just seem crazy.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I know I seem crazy either way. I know this might not seem like the most interesting video you've ever seen, but I promise the information is gonna be so worth it. So we live somewhat near the Bragg estate, and the Bragg family is pretty well known around town. I was involved in my high school theater department.
Wow.
Which was largely funded by donations from the Bragg company. I will not be saying which high school to avoid any possible repercussions in case they are still being funded by the Bragg company. And I would sometimes joke in high school about how the apple cider vinegar people seemed like a vampire cult or something, because they have such an obsession with anti-aging, and like the whole thing just seemed so weird. Then one year we were all given copies of one of their books, and one day during rehearsal I was very bored, so I decided to read through it and look for evidence that they were vampires. But instead I found so much like weirder stuff than just vampires. I do still think that they might be vampires, but that's not as easy to prove as it is to just point out all of the weird, blatant lies that I've told. So I will be doing that for now. Let's expose this dead old man. If he is dead, I do think he might have faked his death. We will get into that later.
Surfing accident?
If there was one. Let's go back to the very beginning.
Oh my god.
Paul Bragg was born not in 1881 in Fairfax, Virginia, to a family of farmers. He was actually born 14 years later in 1895 in Batesville, Indiana, and his father worked at a printing office and published a local newspaper. He did not grow up on a farm. They were not farmers. Bragg began to lie about his age in the 1920s and claimed in a 1929 interview to be 49 years old despite actually being 34 at the time. He had not yet solidified his new year of birth. I think he solidified it in like the 30s. From then on, he continued to claim to be much older than he really was to exaggerate the claimed effects of his health regimen to draw in more customers, which was largely the base of all of his claims. So he would claim to be much older, so then when people saw him, and he was obviously this like 30-year-old guy who was like tanned and blonde and like oiled up, they'd be like, man, I wish I looked that hot at 50, and he'd be like, you can if you pay me money. Paul Bragg likely never had or recovered from tuberculosis because the clinic he claimed to have been a patient at was founded 5 years after his supposed stay there. Paul Bragg also never cured his sister Louise because he did not have a sister called Louise. As far as census records from the time reported, he did not have any sisters at all. Paul Bragg had 2 brothers named James and John and 1 half-brother named Rufus. Not, in fact, the 15 siblings he said he had.
That's so many fake siblings.
Paul Bragg did not compete in 2 Olympic Games. According to the records, there is no proof that he even attended any Olympic Games. Additionally, taking into account his real birthday, he was 13 in 1908. I don't think he competed in those games.
Oh my god.
On his draft card, he requested to be exempt from the trenches of World War I due to a, quote, dependent wife. So his claims to have fought in every battle seem like maybe a little bit of a stretch. I think maybe he didn't do that, but the first Bragg health food store supposedly opened in Los Angeles in 1912, but at other times he claimed it was in New York in 1912 or in 1914. Additionally, taking into account his real birthday, he was 17 in 1912. I cannot find anything to solidly say one way or another if that part is for sure a lie completely, so I'm just gonna label it as sketchy. Move on from there, because I had so many other things I was falling into deep dives about. Every Bragg product does still say founded in 1912, and on their website it has a whole thing about how we founded the thing in 1912. So like, if it is a lie, they're still all in on that lie. In the 1920s, Bragg started traveling around giving lectures on how to live the Bragg lifestyle. Attendance of the lectures was free, but he offered personal consultations afterwards that each cost $20, which would be roughly $350 today.
Okay.
In 1929, he put out his first book and was promptly sued for copyright infringement. The plaintiff, which was another health food lecturer called St. Louis Estes, I'm gonna say Estes, said that Bragg's book was, quote, a rearrangement of material in an earlier book on raw foods written by Estes. This was far from the last time he was sued. In 1934, an 18-year-old girl sued him for attacking her when he gave a lecture at her church, and apparently there were other such allegations from other young girls. So we don't love that.
At her church.
Yep. I think she was like the organ player there. Yeah, it's not great. For a while in the 1930s, he was advertising a miracle cure-all that he claimed could cure asthma and diabetes. The US Department of Agriculture shut him down after testing the cure-all and finding that it was made out of ground leaves, bark, roots, fruit, and laxatives. Paul Bragg walked so that girls on Instagram could sell flat tummy tea. He continued to have problems with the FDA calling out his trademark complete lies, and in 1967 they said that his dietary supplements, quote, contained false and misleading therapeutic claims and lacked adequate directions for use for the purposes intended. Even today, 55 years later, if you scroll down to the bottom of the official Bragg Company website, there is a little notice that says, "These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Our products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease." So they're rolling it back a little bit on that one. Okay, so the medical degrees. He did not have them.
No.
As I'm sure you could have guessed. He claimed throughout his life that he had multiple advanced science degrees, including in an interview with People magazine in 1975. In a publication he and Patricia put out in 1977, he gave himself both the title of ND, naturopathic doctor, and PhD. The 1940 federal census lists him as having only completed 1 year of high school. In 1935, he was arrested and charged in Washington for practicing healing without a license. He quickly skipped town and moved back to California. There's a really funny article where it just keeps, from 1935, that just keeps saying, Professor. And it talks about the trial and stuff, and how at first a bunch of the students at the college were coming to support him, and they were like, no, that's our professor, like, yeah, like, obviously he has a degree and stuff, and then by the time they were gonna read the verdict, all of them had left and were not coming back because they were like, yeah, no, this guy is not a real doctor. Despite all of this, he was, like, very successful. Like, he made so much money off this grift and somehow became the dietitian of the rich and famous. He was supposedly beloved by Hollywood stars like Gloria Swanson and Clint Eastwood, and he was the mentor of Jack LaLanne, who, if you are unfamiliar, was like the OG fitness influencer. It's like if they gave the Liver King his own TV show and then it ran for 30 years. Like, he just had a daytime TV show that was just like, watch me lift weights while I tell you what kind of fruits to eat. And apparently, Paul Bragg taught him everything he knew.
Oh my god.
Even Paul Bragg's death has a weird layer of, like, I guess, mystery to it. I think he faked his death because he was a vampire and he's not actually dead. He's just, like, in his coffin waiting to reemerge when he can think of a new birthday for himself. Okay, so first off, he was not 95 when he died, he was 81, but also the circumstances of his death have been reported in different ways. I've read some sources saying that he was injured while surfing and died in Hawaii, like immediately following the accident. Others say that he was injured and then airlifted to a different location for surgery and died there. Some say that he drowned while surfing and died in the water, but the most solid report seems to be that he was surfing and got an injury, but that didn't cause his death. Apparently the injury, like, affected his health, and then a few months later while he was in Florida he had some kind of a heart problem and that's how he died, but it didn't sound as cool as dying while surfing, so, and that story just, like, fit his image better, so they tried to kind of lean into that more and make it seem more like a surfing death. It's a very weird situation. Bragg also claimed that vaccines were deadly and that they should never ever be taken for anything ever. I of course read that and went, let's see if he had any other thoughts about vaccines, and oh boy did he! Here is an excerpt from The Bragg Healthy Lifestyle, written by Paul and Patricia Bragg, PhDs, in the section, Be aware of these health dangers.
Okay.
The facts about deadly vaccines. don't get them.
Okay.
Most people in the Western world today think of vaccinations against infectious diseases as great miracles of modern medicine. Unfortunately, the sad truth is vaccines pose too many health risks, but many doctors are now warning that there's a correlation between the rise in vaccine use and growing incidence of asthma, allergies, cancer, chronic fatigue symptoms, attention deficit disorder, autism, and many other ailments. And then it tells you how you can go to this website or send to this address, and they will send you some information about how to not vaccinate your children for a small fee. While I was looking into this and Googling Paul Bragg autism, I also found I also found this Facebook post from Miss Patricia Bragg herself in 2020.
No!
Which opens with, "Friends, autism is on the rise, affecting 1 in 40 children in the United States.
I wish it was 1 in 20.
As scary as it is to receive an autism diagnosis or suspect your child may be on the spectrum, there is hope." She goes on to promote a lady's website who apparently figured out how to cure her son's autism through healthy eating, and she could teach you how to cure your child's autism too. I did go onto her website, and there is a free quiz to take to find out the first steps to curing your child's autism. And I think maybe we'll have to do a part 2 of this video where we take the quiz and we cure our autism.
I would like to take that right now! Oh my god!
I feel like we gotta save it. Comment below if you would like to see us take this autism quiz and cure our autism. While we are on the subject of Patricia Bragg, Paul's daughter and business partner, I would like to give a quick rundown of her early life. She was born in Oakland, California in 1929. As far as I can tell, that's a correct year. She actually did go to both high school and college, it seems. Maybe. I saw another source say that she did not actually go to college, and that that's just another trademark Bragg lie. I don't have definitive proof either way, so we will be assuming that it's true. Oh wait, I almost forgot. While we're talking about Patricia Bragg, I have that for you to wear. She supposedly got a bachelor's degree in biochemistry from Berkeley, and if that's true, then she's definitely closer to a doctor than Paul Bragg was.
I'm closer to a doctor than Paul Bragg was.
But I cannot find anything that actually proves she has a PhD or anything other than that supposed degree. Also, I don't know what biochemistry is or how PhDs work. I don't think she's a medical doctor. Pretty sure. She was initially planning to become a missionary and go to Africa, spreading the word of the Lord. But, according to her, quote, 2 weeks before I was going to leave for Africa, my father, Paul Bragg, asked if I would give him 1 year to be a health crusader. I agreed, and that 1 year has turned into a lifetime. From then on, she worked with him giving lectures, authoring books, and running the Bragg empire.
So maybe the entirety of Africa dodged a bullet on that one?
I did not mention before, but when he was younger, Paul Bragg worked as an insurance salesman, and it's just that the combination of a traveling salesman and a missionary working together to sell flat tummy tea is so powerful, and I kind of get why it worked. In 1952, when Patricia was 23 years old, she married Robert E. Bragg, the son of Paul Bragg. But wait, you might be thinking, didn't she say that Patricia was his daughter? So she's his daughter-in-law? Don't worry. It gets weirder. Patricia and Robert divorced in 1955. Some sources say 57, some say 56, but the only official records that I could find say 1955, so I'm gonna go with that. So they divorced in 1955 after just 3 years of marriage, but Patricia did not part from the Bragg family. Despite her being 26 and his son's ex-wife, Paul Bragg legally adopted Patricia!
No!
According to her,
No!
As with almost everything about this family, there are no sources to back this up. There is no proof that she was legally adopted, but anytime she has admitted that they are not biologically related, she has insisted that he legally adopted her and is legally her father, which is weirder than if he hadn't adopted her and wasn't her dad.
I have concerns.
In an article about the divorce in the LA Times from 1956, she was quoted as saying, "He treats me just like his very own daughter, and I'm so thankful. And I treat him like my very own father. I feel very obligated to him." I cannot find a specific picture, but reportedly that quote was accompanied by a photo of her and Paul smiling and shaking hands, while Robert was just also there, not looking very happy. Reportedly, Robert filed for divorce because of Patricia's infidelity, which he claimed was with his father, Paul Bragg.
That makes it make more sense.
According to a record from the Los Angeles Examiner, this accusation was stated publicly at a later trial.
It's making more sense.
If anybody can find the notes from that trial, I would love to read everything that was said. Yeah, apparently the divorce was like highly publicized, and a lot of people were talking about it because they were like this rich famous family in LA, and it was crazy. Paul Bragg did divorce his second wife in 1932 and never remarried, and it does feel like that makes the adopting an adult woman thing weirder. Also, he was once asked at what age one's sex drive might start to lower, and his response was, quote, "You'll have to ask somebody else. I'm only 94. Which is a very funny thing to say, but also I don't like knowing that he was not only a weird old man who told lies, he was also very horny the whole time. I would also like to note that Patricia's parents, Harry and Nettie Pendleton, which is her maiden name before she took her husband and then her adopted father's name, were both fully alive at the time.
I was gonna ask.
They died like 10 years later. They had like 10 years of their daughter.
Oh, no.
Pretending to be the daughter of her father-in-law. Also, according to Patricia, they were family friends with Paul Bragg, and she knew him since she was a little girl. No! And it's just that I don't like any part of that. No part of that is good or reassuring. It does not make it better. It makes it much worse. I don't like it.
Don't worry, because she might have been lying.
I'm gonna, real quick, run through some fun facts about Patricia Bragg.
Okay.
One time she ate a chocolate bar and it made her sick, and she knew then that chocolate is a sin.
It's true.
She had a sip of champagne at her wedding and threw up, and that was the only alcohol she has ever consumed because it is also a sin.
That's also true.
She has never worn a bra in her life, and because of that, she can do this.
Look what I do. My father taught me that when I started developing busts.
So that specific phrasing I do not like, because if we are going with the she knew him as a child, I do not like him talking about her breasts. I do not like that one bit.
Oh my god.
She's besties with Katy Perry.
It's not getting better.
Supposedly she bought Katy Perry her first guitar and paid for her singing lessons, and now Katy Perry promotes apple cider vinegar for her. In the 80s, after Paul died, she added a little Jesus fish and a Bible verse to every product. I knew you would ask, so it is 3 John 1:2. I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. And she started. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the Bible works.
That's why you don't know about all the sins.
Yeah, that's why I don't know about all the sins of chocolate and champagne and bras. And she started to claim that Paul Bragg was actually really into Christianity. He just never told anybody but her about it. So this is for him. It's not just something she wanted to do. And I love that she went, well, my father/husband's whole life is already a lie, so I might as well just add some more lies as a treat. She's 4'10". I just feel like it helps build a picture. She collects dolls and pretty much exclusively dresses in bright pink and has like a collection of pink cowboy hats that she covers with flowers.
So do you.
Yeah, and it's just that if she wasn't like crazy fatphobic, I would love her. Like, everything about her is girl boss behavior, and I wish that I could just love her fully, unabashedly. When she visited my school, she told the room full of teenagers that we should all go home and get naked and stand in front of a mirror and swing our arms around to see how our bodies jiggled, so we would know how unhealthy we were and how badly we needed her apple cider vinegar.
Were y'all okay?
No! It was a room full of theater kids. She went, can I give them more eating disorders? Everybody, look at how your bodies jiggle and the flabbiness of your disgusting little bodies. Now drink only apple cider vinegar, and then you will be good. then God will love you. Speaking of when she spoke to my school, I will hopefully have an eyewitness account for you. I am still waiting to hear back from our source because he just had a baby and I don't want to bother him.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna use a pseudonym for him.
Have you already thought of it?
Yeah, it's Derek Hale from Teen Wolf. Derek Hale from Teen Wolf. My friend Derek Hale from Teen Wolf, who I worked with in the theater department in high school. He was giving her the whole pitch and the spiel and stuff, and then she said, "Stand up. Well, I need you to undress. If you're gonna give me money, sure."
Oh, Derek Hill from Teen Wolf.
So then he was standing in his underwear singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for her. A separate occurrence with her. He had to run spot at a talk she was giving. When she gives talks, she kind of just marches around. And he had to just keep being like, "Oh my god, no, 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 no." I want to say it was supposed to be like a 15-20 minute talk, and then it ended up going on for like an hour because she kept getting distracted by her own slides. Oh, well those are my roses. We're here to learn about apple cider vinegar, ma'am. So people started to get up and leave slowly. When you're on stage and you have a spotlight and the theater is dark, she could not see that any of that was happening, so she kept giving a presentation like normal. And by the time the house lights went back on, there was nobody left in the audience. And she had just been giving a presentation for just herself and Derek Hale from Teen Wolf. And that's one of my favorite stories. I would like to real quick read the product listing description of one of his books from the 20s that's being sold secondhand on eBay or something, because I just thought that the way this person wrote this listing really just summed it all up. Paul Bragg was a snake oil salesman of the lowest order. A health guru who made a small fortune on baseless medical and health claims by putting a PhD in front of his name. He didn't complete high school. And making up
That's not funny, but it's a funny line to make up for that situation.
And making up stories about how he competed in the Olympics and nursed an imaginary sister back from a life-threatening illness. His books, consultations, and mail-order fraud got him in trouble with the law and the AMA on several occasions. This book is a sexist-dated, medically unsound instruction manual. To celebrate that, I have a special treat for us.
No.
We bought our very own bottle of Bragg apple cider vinegar with the mother, our daily dose of wellness.
Why does it say that?
Oh! Yeah, it's not a good smell. Prost.
God, I'm gonna throw up.
My eyes are watering. It's so good. I can feel the wellness shooting through my body. It burns.
Oh no, God! Oh no.
Did you throw up?
A little bit.
That was very unpleasant. Anyway, Bragg Company, if you want to sponsor we can issue a retraction of this whole thing. And we can tell people that apple cider vinegar cured our autism or whatever. Our business email's in the description below. Also, please don't sue us for defamation. Okay, thanks.
Also in the description will be links to TikTok, Tumblr, Twitter, and our Patreon.
Also, all of my sources.
Oh my god.
If you want to read more people exposing Paul Bragg.
Stay strong, besties.
Ugh.
Oh my god.
It was so bad. Okay, thanks for watching. Love you.
Bedtime, baby.
Come and sit on our log. We'll have fun with HedgeFrog. No unclog, frog and hedge. You can be our new best friend. H-E-D-G, F-R-O-G. HedgeFrog on a week.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture. You good?
Joke, down great.
It's so horrible to ingest. But apparently if you do a shot of it every day, then your boobs will never fall down. And you can go forever. I can't wait till we cure our autism.
Oh, Steve.